Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? How are we doing? We are doing well here today. At least I'm doing well. I hope you guys are all doing well too. My name is Jason Krutzky. You guys might recognize me from the live charting show that we host every Thursday evening. You might recognize me from Twitter Spaces. I host the Twitter Space, the Trade Ideas Twitter Spaces on Tuesday evenings. We're going to be trying some new stuff here at TrendSpider. I'm going to be hanging out with you guys live throughout the day. It's going to start off a little slow at first, but we're going to ease our way into doing this more and more often. And I'm just here to kind of kick it with you guys. You know, my job is to just be here, hanging out, watching the markets, talking shop. If you guys have questions about the platform, I'm here to answer them. If you are, what's up, Braden? How's it going, Bubba? If you guys want to talk stocks, you know, we can definitely take a look at whatever stocks you're looking at. You want to do some scanning, we can do some scanning. It's really kind of up to you. We're just hanging out, and I'll be here for the next like hour and a half or so. So if you guys have any questions about anything, hit me up. What's up, DU? How's it going? Glad you're here. Much appreciated. I believe that's Mr. Dan Ushman in the house. Happy to have you, sir. What are you guys looking at today? Are you guys trading anything? I've just been sitting here trading SPY all day. It's kind of a choppy day. You know, our title here is Market Stalling. And, you know, we came up with this title an hour ago, and we're not quite sure if markets are stalling. It kind of feels like markets might be stalling. If we go to the daily here, only watching SPY, yeah. I don't know if it is either. I really don't. We gained a high, right? We took out Friday's high, so that's interesting. We're failing it, and we're breaking down below it, and we're coming into that little area. I don't know if you guys read the market updates that we put out every weekend. We send out on Sunday evenings. We send out market updates. I write these. Yeah, Braden, let's talk about this. I'm not sure yet, man. I like that it gained today, but I'm not sure if it's stalling. I mean, if we go down to lower time frames, here's kind of where my head's at on it. If we go to lower time frames, we got lows that take us to the relative highs, right? Like this move, kind of just from here to here. Oops, let's close that. So then I look for like where we kind of lost, which is here. And where did we find resistance today? That's exactly where we found resistance today. So I would say if we can get above kind of where we failed this morning, then I'm all go for higher. I mean, like I said, with those weekend updates, my thought process, at least, is we need to go back and test where we failed up here, which is kind of somewhere in this area, this 407 area. Braden, you and I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier the other day, like last week. This kind of seems like, yeah, Bitcoin does look not so great. This kind of seems like a logical place for it to go because price hasn't come back and tested this, and it seems like it ought to. Let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick, since DU is talking about it. Let's see here, Bitcoin. There we go. All right, so yeah, I've got some levels drawn out on Bitcoin. So let's talk first about kind of what it's done. That 17 level, you know, obviously a huge level for it to hold. Yeah, ETH is too. We'll take a look at it. That 17 level, you know, it's managed to. What's up, Nevin? How's it going? That 17 level, obviously super important. And from that time, I'm just going to go to the hourly here, and I'm just like looking at where it put in. Obviously it's putting in higher lows off of that 17 low. we've made a higher high, relatively speaking. Kind of, we made this high January 21st. And then we've got this high January 21st, June 21st, and June 26th, we gain that high and kind of immediately fail it. And now we've made a lower high. So we're kind of going back. If your price, all right. So before we go any further with this, right, Mike from Market Traders TV, if you were watching the live charting show last Thursday, I've been learning a lot from Mike from Market Traders TV. He's been teaching me about how to trade price action. And so kind of what you're looking for is you're looking for levels, the basics of trend. You're looking for higher highs and higher lows, right? And you're looking for these levels to hold. You're expecting whenever price makes a new high, you're expecting it to come back to the place that brought it to that high. So the previous low, so those like swing lows. So we're kind of like we're drawing lines from those swing low areas. And then when price makes a new high, we see it comes back to those areas to retest. And if it holds, then generally it's going to make another high. So this maybe, I'm not going to say that it is, but maybe this is like a warning shot. We've made a lower high here. We made a lower high here, right? We made a lower high here and we still were able to we didn't really gain, but we were able to go back and test. So you could even maybe say this is a warning shot because we weren't able to gain here. So I don't know. I think there are untested levels below that probably need to get tested. Price could always come back to 17. Price could come back to this 18.5 level. Price could come back to 19.5. I mean, there's a lot of levels below, but then there's also levels above that need to kind of get tested too, like on a bigger time frame. If you're looking at maybe this high to this low, right? There is some stuff at least up here kind of in this area that price hasn't really tested to see yet, because you really need, if you're going to keep going higher, you need to be making higher highs. So price needs to get above all of this stuff too, and it's failing to do so currently. So maybe before it can find its way to higher highs, maybe it needs to be going back and testing some of these areas that hadn't been tested. I mean, we could do things like throw anchored VWAPs. That is, a very quick metric, maybe from this low. So just like right click on the candle, say create alpha trends anchored VWAP, coming into a pretty interesting spot, right? Price coming right into that anchored VWAP from the lows. So anchored VWAP, of course, being where your average buyer owns the stock from. At least from the low. So your average buyer who bought from this low until now owns this thing at 20,376 and change. So currently your average buyer is in the money on this trade. There's no reason for them to really sell, right? So you anticipate that this anchored VWAP holds. Key level, 20K. Yeah, absolutely, D. Absolutely. Big psych level for sure. And it would take some time. Like, it'll take some time for that level to really prove itself one way or another. But 100% DU. 100% 20K key level. And we could go to even bigger time frames here. Let's see where we're at. Like, I'm gonna go to the weekly. I'm just gonna kind of measure a few anchored VWAPs from a few different places. Maybe those 2018 highs. See, so we failed below that anchored VWAP from those 2018 highs. Maybe from the lows that brought us to. Yeah, and we're kind of chilling right there. Yeah, Brad, you want to talk XLE? Let's talk XLE. Because that's interesting, because XLE, all of those names are strong today. So this was kind of a curious thing that we were noticing. Dead product. We were noticing that SPY and the Qs maybe are kind of pausing a little bit here. Let's see where they're at right now. Yeah, they're just kind of chilling. Let's check XLE and see. Because a lot of oil names on my list are finding bottoms today, or at least are finding bounces today. If you follow me on Twitter, I've been watching AR. That's been one. That one is at the top of the list today. Coming into a perfect area of resistance, this kind of high that we lost here. That's about what you would expect. That's not a huge surprise. Let's see, XLE. Yeah, 70.44. I had a line there. And I didn't bid it like a dummy. Let's check out. Yeah, see, look at that. 70.44 was the bid. BTU, yeah, tan. All right, let's look at these guys in a little bit. This was my idea on XLE. This was from a couple, maybe like, this was from June 17th was my idea on XLE. Was this buying this close here, using this low as my stop, and they would have got me. If I had taken this trade, they would have gotten me. So what they did was they went and they took out all the liquidity that had stops just under this low. Not a surprise, right? And then they ramped it back, and now they're coming back into that VWAP from these lows. So this was kind of my trade idea, but I didn't take it, unfortunately. Let's check out tan. You mentioned tan, Chewy. Chewy, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. PLTR, interesting. We'll hit that here in a little bit. All right, tan. Let's go weekly. Huh. Okay. So, you know, pretty much always going to put an anchored VWAP from a relative low just because it's a pivotal place. And you kind of always want to know the general idea, right? Like you want to know, is your average buyer? What's up, Life of Omid? Thanks for being here. Yeah. You want to know kind of where the general buyer is. So, I don't know, made a new low right here. Made lower lows here and here. So, I mean, really, you got to see price come back and make a new high. That's kind of what I would want to see in this particular case. We could kind of try out some other tools here. Let's go to volume by price and see what's up with volume by price. Yeah, right at that point of control. So point of control is where the most volume at price has occurred. Currently trading above it. You anticipate that level, and you anticipate that VWAP level to both be pretty powerful levels in terms of how price of it acts around them. So, I mean, I would be kind of wait and see here with tan, just because it's, you know, if you're wanting to go long, you're not in an uptrend right now. You've got a low, you've got a lower low, you've got a lower high here and here, and, you know, obviously high. You've got, if this is your high, you got a lower high and a lower high. So we're not in an uptrend here. So if we want to go long, we need to start seeing uptrend things happening, which means higher highs. You do have a higher low potentially right here. So maybe it needs a couple more days of consolidation, or a couple more weeks. I guess I'm on the weekly here. Maybe if I go to the daily, yeah. See, this would give me pause. You got the low that brings you up to the most recent high, and we're failing right at it, kind of where you would expect it to. So I would kind of be looking for like down here. If I were wanting to go long tan, my headspace would be come back down and test kind of the beginning of this move. Let's see here. Link USD. Well, Braden, hold on. Let's talk about. Yeah, Nevin, you're right. Energy up big for sure. Braden, let's talk PLTR real quick. Have some lines on it. So, yeah, so here's your, I guess, your relative high is kind of up in here where we failed. It's kind of about in here, which, again, you're coming back and you're testing where we failed. Not the most bullish thing in the world. We really need to see. I mean, we are seeing on the daily here, we are seeing higher highs, higher lows. That's nice. So maybe tested that breakdown. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of where my head would be at too, Braden. I mean, maybe like, yeah, we've tested all this. Maybe around in here for a trade. Maybe somewhere this, if I don't know, there looks like there's kind of a little bit of a gap in here. I suppose we could put on, we actually just announced, or we just released this new gap detector indicator, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's a teeny tiny gap. Let me change the gap factor, make it like 0.2. Yeah, so there's your gap. It's unfilled. So maybe that would make sense, Braden. Maybe that would make sense. Like if this thing's gonna keep on going, you would definitely want to see that 840 kind of level hold. We're coming back and we're testing this previous high today. It's kind of what it's looking like we're doing. Hot spot. All right, USO. Let's go USO. How are we looking on USO? Interesting. All right, so big breakout level, clearly. And, you know, this is not perfect, but it's close. This 82.5 or so. We gained it. We've lost it. Now we're back testing it. So shout out gap detector. We've lost it. We're trying to test it now. So really kind of the proof's going to be in the pudding, right? Like if we can get up above and maybe pull back, then maybe we could do something like that. Whether or not we will, it's kind of hard to say, but that's kind of where my head would be at. I would be looking for like a retest somewhere, I don't know, maybe in and around here, somewhere thereabouts. Like if price were to come back up and fail some of these highs, maybe look for somewhere there in that world, or maybe somewhere around here. I don't know exactly where. You'd have to just kind of play it by ear, but like this 88 to 90 area, I would look for price. If price is able to gain kind of this area that broke out, I would be looking for a move back up into this and then a pullback and then a test. Let's see, Oxy. Okay. Oxy, back to the scene of the crime here, right? You have your relative low that brought you to your high. Oh, Nevin, that's kind of interesting. I didn't hear that. I wonder how, I mean, that's a marginal lowering of supply, 10%, 11%. I don't really know. I'm out. That's outside of my wheelhouse as far as, I just don't really know how that would affect things. I mean, clearly if they're decreasing supply, then that's not going to be good. It's going to make prices go higher, but yeah, of course. Yeah, but I mean, you know, it held where it needed to, right? Held kind of at the area that took us up to this high. It looks like it's starting to maybe fail again. Same deal, right? Higher highs, higher lows. Currently, you've got kind of this low. That's a little big, sorry. Currently, you've got this low. You could say maybe in here's a low. We didn't really take out this low here. We managed to hold it and then make a higher low here. And we're still making higher highs kind of across the board. So this thing is in a decent uptrend. But I don't know. It's just going to be a matter of playing out. You know, if ultimately, if this kind of level right in here, if this ends up failing and price is able to push lower, that would be a big problem for me. Let's see. C-Web, Arizona's 9. Arizona's, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Let's see what's going on with C-Web. Yeah, so Chinese names. This is Chinese name. Yeah. I have a little bit of concern about Chinese names. Just right now. They've obviously been super, super strong. Everybody was talking about this gap and go. You know, if you listen to the Tuesday Trade Ideas Spaces that we host every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, shout out. Guys have been talking about this. You know, Andrew from Real Pristine Cap, he was talking about K-Web a couple of weeks back. A couple of guys that have come into those have been talking about Chinese names, and they have been looking really good. Again, they had that big gap and go. We've come back. We've tested that gap. It's held nicely, and now we're just testing kind of all this stuff. So big kind of make or break it kind of level, right? And this is you'll see this across a lot of the Chinese names is this area. They're all kind of testing a similar area. So kind of the next thing that you really need to see, you need to see it gain that area. And like for me, if I were, it would be really hard to be bullish here because we're coming into this area of resistance. Now we've tested it 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we can gain it, then I would be looking for some sort of quick pullback and then I would be wanting to go long on that pullback. That's kind of where my head would be at on it. I guess you could say like we haven't maybe tested this. Whether or not it needs to, you know, this is where the alchemy comes into play. But tough to say that it needs to test that. I mean, it could even maybe just test like this this close low here. Looks like it's tested this area a couple of times. It's kind of tested this area a couple of times. Hasn't really tested this, but you could say it tested back here. So I don't know. I think to be bullish on this particular one, I'd have to see a gain and then a pullback and a hold to really like it. I think people are probably taking profits here. The fact that we can't gain a new high here is kind of, you know, that's kind of not great either. I mean, you could look at a couple other names. Like I know, what did I have on my list here? What's the one? Not Neo, but the other one. Neo's brother or sister. Can anybody hit me with that name? I can't think of it off the top of my head. The Chinese auto name. Shoot. XPEV. Yeah, that's it. This is what I was looking at on XPEV. I was looking at a short on XPEV. It didn't quite get to my level. I almost took puts on Friday, and then I just changed my mind. I thought we might get a gap up today, and we didn't end up getting a gap up today, but I thought we might, so I didn't want to buy puts into that. Yeah, so this is what I was looking for. You know, you have this low, brought you to this high. We're looking for kind of a test of that. It could totally gain this, though. It could come back up into here. It could come back up into these highs. But all of these gaps, that's concerning, man. This is a huge extension. Like, we haven't tested this. We'd kind of want to test that. You kind of want to test down here. I mean, we've kind of tested this. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff to test in here. And so my gut would be that we're going to back test some of this stuff before we're able to really make a move higher. This is just a huge extension. If I were long this name, I would be selling for sure here. All right, let's get back to some of the symbols you guys are talking about. DVR, Arizona's back to DVR. I don't know anything about DVR. What is DVR? Why is retesting a pivot level important to me? Well, it's a good question. Because that's kind of the nature of price action. Price does not move in a straight line, right? Price goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. So there's kind of three things that price can do. Price can go in an uptrend, price can go in a downtrend, and price can consolidate, meaning you could build a buyer base or you could distribute, right? So you can accumulate or you can distribute. And those are really the three actions that price does. It gains, it loses, it distributes. So when price makes a really extended move in one direction or another, that extension has to end at some point. When that extension ends, it's going to reverse direction, regardless of whether you're going higher or lower. When it reverses direction, you have to look for places that are logical for price to have a reaction. And logical places where price has reactions are pivot points. And this is true across all time frames. Now, I can't tell you what pivot level it's going to have a reaction at. I can just tell you where the pivots are, right? You can see them very clearly. The extreme highs and the extreme lows. There's a pivot here, there's a pivot here, there's a pivot here, pivot here, pivot here, pivot here, and so on, right? And you can look at those pivot levels for places where price didn't really do any sort of distribution. It didn't consolidate. It just extended. And if price just extends, there's nobody to hold it in place when it reverses. So that's why we look at those pivot levels, because pivot levels are important. That's where price had stalled previously. You know, in this downtrend from this 49 high down, we pause. Well, why did we pause there? Well, if we look back in the chart, we paused there previously, right? We ended up, we take this big down move and we fail it at first, but then when we gain and come back, we hold it and we hold it, right? This was an important level previously, therefore it's an important level here. And then, you can see how the line kind of goes through all of these pivot points. Price finds support, it breaks down, and then that area that broke down becomes resistance. So that's why pivot levels are important to me. Anytime price gets extended in one direction or another, I'm always going to be looking for where hasn't it come back to find potential areas where price could have a response. And that's really what you're looking for. You're looking for, at any given time, no matter what you're using to trade, you're just looking for the safest place to get into trades. The safest place to get into a trade is where price is going to respond, right? If you have a specific spot that you say, look, I'm gonna take a long bias trade here, right? If price pulls back, I'm gonna take a long off of the test of this line when price gets to this line. That line is your line in the sand, and you can place a set stop. You can place a stop at a very specific place, and you can also come with a specific target as well. So it's all about just knowing where you're looking for these reactions to occur and planning out your trades. So just using those pivots as places where price could react. If price doesn't react at those places, for example, if price just goes right through this, then you know that this pivot level, it didn't hold, right? And you could have had a trade set up. If you had this trade set up, you probably would have your buy, you would have your stop, you'd have it all preset. Have your buy, your stop, and your exit, your sell. If price, or maybe you wait until price gets there and you see how it reacts. And if it doesn't have any reaction, price goes straight through it, then okay, well, that level isn't going to hold, right? Then maybe you look for another kind of pivot level that has a similar scenario where price just right through it and never really came back, never really consolidated around it. That was a really long-winded answer, but that's kind of my thought process on it. Let's see here. Roblox. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. We got a little off track. Snow Arkin. We're going to get to you. VGFC. Snow Arkin, thank you for being here. The Very Good Food Company. Okay. This is ugly. I guess this is a SPAC. Yeah, it has to be. I mean, yeah, see, I just don't touch this sort of stuff. And the reason why is because it looks terrible, right? All we're doing is sliding lower and lower and lower. This thing's 30 cents. Yeah, this is not a stock that I would be interested in trading at all. I mean, you've got your swing low that brought you to the nearest term high and took us down. We've tested it. I mean, we're holding this low here. This low, I mean. Kind of holding this. Kind of holding this for now. Kind of holding this. I don't know. I mean, so this would need a lot of work, but you would arguably need to get above here or even above here for this thing to be even remotely interesting for me personally. You need to start gaining. Unless you're short this name, then I would just probably keep on holding it to zero because it kind of looks like that's where this wants to go. Chewy, CVNA. Oh, Chewy. That's really ugly. Actually, we talked about CVNA with Mike last week. If you guys are interested, I would strongly recommend on our YouTube page, check out the live charting show that we did with Mike last week. We went over CVNA. He had some good thoughts on it. Give that whole episode a watch. His style is just so cool. But where are we here? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You need to gain 42.19, which is a huge move, by the way. I mean, that's over 50%. Yeah, Well, not 50, I guess. That's, what's that? 29%. I don't know. I wouldn't touch it personally. I would let it make a new high and then come back. Because, I mean, this thing could seriously be down here forever, right? Like, this thing could... I mean, we took out those lows. Is there anything lower historically? What's the all-time low? 778. I mean, it could go back there. I don't know. It's tough. You do have this, though. Back at 97, kind of the big level that we lost to bring us all the way down here. You know, but this, again, this move back up, this could take years, literally years. So, I don't know. It depends on kind of your time frame, what you're thinking, what your trade is on it. Nike. Sorry I'm going slow, guys. I'm trying to, hopefully you guys are digging this. This is my first time doing this for you guys. So, you know, let me know if this is, if you guys have any questions outside of just chart requests. So Nike, pretty big spot, obviously. This kind of area that we broke out of, we're holding it. So this 104 level, this is huge. This is our big line in the sand. If we lose this, we're going back and we're testing other pivots, you know. I don't know exactly which ones, maybe 94, maybe down here, 84. You could very easily go back to 67, depending on kind of what the market does. You know, Nike historically a pretty good play, but like, again, it's all about your time frame. So I would want to see us get kind of above these highs here before really considering it. 120, because again, it could chop in here for a long time. So depending on how you're playing it, it can get difficult, right? So that's what I would want to see personally. We did hold a higher low last week, so that's good. We did not make a new low. Let's go to a daily. Yeah, tricky. Kind of like with what SPY's doing and with what Qs are doing and IWM even. You know, kind of that level that we failed. We do have that gap above. Would not be a shocker to see price come back into that 118 area before this move is all said and done. If we're going lower, I don't know that we are. I'm not going to say that we are, but if we're going lower, this is where I would start anticipating failure around like 119. Okie dokie. Let's see here. DRV. Okay. Tony Vane, what's happening? Sorry, I'm just going back and reading kind of I'm going a little slow for you guys. Let's see. Amazon for the people. SDW. AMZN for the people. Same deal, man. It's the same exact chart or miss. I don't know. But it's the same chart. Same chart as the Qs, same chart as SPY, same chart as kind of a lot of symbols. You know, kind of what I'd be looking for is what price does kind of when it gets up in here. I mean, we talked, the title of today's episode is markets failing, or markets kind of like slowing down, right? Actually, what is the proper title? What do we call this thing today? Hold on one sec. We called it indices stalling, right? Yeah, so, I mean, that might be what they're doing, you know, and if that's the case, then we might not catch bids back up into here, but this is where we failed. This is where price went lower. We made this new highs, and then we immediately failed it. This is where I'd be expecting, somewhere in here, I'd be expecting price to lose the bid is kind of where my head would be at on it. So if you were buying Amazon in the hundreds, like the low hundreds, I would probably personally be slowly scaling out. You know, you may miss a bit of the move if it is able to get back into this 123. Now, of course, there always is the chance it could gain again, keep on going higher. And I guess if you gain, then that tells you something, right? You do have this gap up here to be considerate of. That's a huge, it's going to be a huge level kind of all throughout in here. And it would make sense, right? We see support, 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 and we fail. It would make sense at some point. Price is going to come back up into this 136 at some point. Yeah, I can't tell you when that's going to happen. Tony Vane, what's up, Tony Vane? How we doing? Madhukar, CVNA, too many insiders buying. A long way to go. That's true. Short real estate, Arizona's. Interesting. John, I am not that big on trying to pick bottoms, man. That is absolutely correct. Looking for a training tutorial. All right, Tony, let's talk about this. For day trading purposes, looking at Apron. Interesting. So what I would recommend to you, if you're looking for a tutorial, of course, I'm happy to answer questions that you have here, but what you might actually prefer is you might prefer to do a training session with one of our trainers. You can sign up for that by clicking on your name in the top right corner. And when you scroll down, you won't see it on my side, but there is, on your side, you'll see it says schedule training. Schedule a training session with one of our trainers. There's a couple of guys that do them. They're free for all of our users. If you're not currently a user, it kind of sounds like maybe you're not a user. So if you're not a user yet, go ahead and sign up for an account. You get a free 7-day trial. You can even extend that trial an additional 7 days. All you have to do is request it through the chat right here, this contact us button. So go ahead and go ahead and sign up for an account and just immediately schedule a one-on-one. We've got guys on hand Monday through Sunday that do these trainings. They're free for everybody. This is what I did before I switched over to this new role, hanging out with you guys. I just taught people how to use the platform all day. The guys in that team, or the guys on that team, are awesome guys. They're all super smart. They all know the platform like the back of their hand. I would really recommend that, because then you could kind of like dig in with them. The one-on-ones are about 45 minutes long, and you can dig in on your ideas. You know, if you have maybe specific scans you're looking to run or whatever, tell them what you're trying to learn how to do on the platform, and they can walk you through it. And I'm not exactly sure where we're at as far as wait times, but I'm pretty sure you could get in within a couple of days. I don't think it's any longer than that. So Tony, I would take us up on that offer, man. Yeah, and here's the link here, Tony. Can we get a look at Baba 120 level in particular? Yeah, let's take a look at it. Yeah, so John, I don't know if you were here when we were talking about Chinese names, but they are at a big spot, clearly. You know, this is kind of the fourth test of this area. So, you know, it's a tough spot to go long, right? Because you're coming into clear resistance here. It's a really hard spot, in my opinion, to take a long position. What I personally would be looking for is some back testing, either some back testing, or I'd be looking for a continuation move to the upside and then a pullback from that continuation move. So we've already done a lot here. Like if you say that this low to this high is kind of the area that we're trading within, right? From the low to this high, we're trading all within here. So we're testing all within here. A lot of it's been done. There is a chance, because we've already tested this kind of top area 4 times, that to me suggests that there is more of a likelihood that you would continue higher. You do have that big gap up here at 150. But what I might be looking for personally, like if it were me, I would probably wait, like I said, for one of two things. So I would wait for either the gain and then the pullback, and I would try and be buying somewhere in here where it had tested, right? Because this is kind of a safer entry for me. And then, ultimately looking for that continuation move, maybe back into this gap area or back up at least to some of these old highs. So that would be one idea. The other idea would be something like this. And it may not go this way either, but it would be, one more kind of back test to come in and clear out. You've got a gap here, you've got a gap here, maybe come in and clear out those two gaps before we move higher. I can see that happening. This is a pretty quick extension. I mean, you gained in 4 sessions. You got to think about like how far you've come in a short time. You've gained 17.75% in like 4 days. It pulled back here when it did that. It's pulled back a couple times. It's tough to say. But I would just be hard pressed buying here. If I were long here, I'd be selling, and I would be selling with the full understanding that like this thing could totally keep extending, and I'm going to miss some of that, and then I would be looking for essentially a price to come back to where I sold. That would be my thinking on it. Let's see. MU. All right, so I've got this thing marked up. Oh, geez, this is pretty bad. Let me remove everything here. I haven't looked at this in a while. All right, so I love going to bigger time frames to start. There are no rules, but I like bigger time frames to start. And so what I'm looking at is kind of pretty obvious, kind of in here, right? You kind of have this area of consolidation, call it what you will, but consolidation before this huge extension. And what have we done? Well, we've come back right to it, and we've found some support at it. Not a surprise. In fact, exactly what we would expect. You would expect a reaction when price comes back to the area where it broke out from. So that's what we got. We got a nice bounce. It looks like 2 weeks ago. And so now we take this thing down to a smaller time frame. And what do we see? Well, we see pretty much the same idea as on Amazon, the same idea as on SPY in general, as on the Qs in general, right? We see it finding support at that big area, and we see a huge level that could come into play later, right? This big 65 level, when we first came down to it after we had this huge extension, we had a ramp all the way back to those highs, and we even made higher highs, didn't we? Yeah. Not a surprise that when we came back to it, it tried to hold 1, 2, 3 candles. It tried to hold. You can even see that when we gapped down on this particular day, we back tested it. That wick right there, it comes right back into it. So we back tested it. So we took in a huge price level that was support for, a year. And we failed it, and we're now trading below it. So if price is able to find its way back, what do we expect? Well, we have to expect something like that. That's not saying it's going to happen, but we have to kind of anticipate it, because this has been such a big level of support. If price is able to find its way back, it's probably going to act as resistance, at least to start. That doesn't mean that price can't go higher. It absolutely can. But that would be my expectation. Again, hard to take a trade here. If I were to want to go long, I would probably be looking at like somewhere in here. Shoot. I would be looking for price to pull back, make a higher low. That's kind of where my head would be at, with the ultimate idea of getting back up here. So one thing that we look for, I'm going to use so this tool right here, this is it's just a position drawing tool. So it allows us to really easily draw our position and determine our risk reward. Proper trading says you should be risking 1 to make 3. So you're looking for an R value pretty much of 3 at all times, or at least I'm looking for an R value of 3 at all times. So the way that I would kind of plan this out, if I were looking for a trade here, and my target were here, if I, I don't want to see this low lost. They could totally come back and like snip it. They could come back. There's probably quite a bit of liquidity down here. People who bought these lows or have bought in the past couple days, and they're using this low as their stop. So maybe I could bring my stop down just a smidge below this low. This gets kind of dangerous though, because you see now my R value is 2.6, so it doesn't quite get me to that 3.6 level, or that 3R level. So maybe instead I'll use this low as my stop, assuming that if they take out this low, they're probably going to go for this one too, and I might be able to get a better entry if I still am long biased. Theoretically, we want to see this low hold if we're going to keep going higher. So that gets my R almost to 6. That's pretty nice. That would be where my head would be at on it. But again, kind of tough to make a trade here coming into resistance. So want to see a little bit of a pullback. Awesome, Nevin. I appreciate you saying that. This is really fun for me too. This is like such a new... I spend my days talking to traders about their ideas. It's very rare that I get to talk about mine. So I really appreciate you guys being here and asking questions. How do I get involved with Baba? Patience, usually the answer. Yeah, John, it is for sure. Awesome, John. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's see here. I guess John is gone. So he was talking about DKNG. Sprinkle of pepper. Man, so sprinkle of pepper doesn't seem like enough to me. I'm kind of more like a put too much pepper on it kind of guy. Nevin, all right, let's see here. Oh, let's do Anand. Let me do Luna. Oh God, Luna. Anand, thanks for being here. I appreciate it very much. Let's talk about Luna. What is this? Is this thing trading at like 0.000000? Bro, Anand, you're not in this, are you? Interesting. I mean, did make a higher high. Dude, this is definitely a little outside of my wheelhouse too. I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's making a higher high. So again, we made a higher high. So now we need to start seeing lows hold. So my head, excuse me. My head would be at, maybe 0.000061. I would also be maybe looking somewhere in here, 0.000076. Yeah, I mean, exactly. You're right, Nevin. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. And sure, could something happen on it? Yeah, why not? But is this really what you want to spend your time trading? I don't know. Okay, MRK. Whoa, big move. Everybody's been talking about biotech. All right, interesting. So I actually highlighted this one. This is kind of cool. I highlighted MRK in a blog that I just did, actually in a video that I just made that we just released today, about unusual options. So I'm grabbing the unusual options widget, and let me see what it was. I want to say it was MRK. Maybe it wasn't MRK. Yeah, it was. So on May 26th here, we had this big block trade for 3.4 mil. Let's see where it is. June 17th expiry. Okay, so it's already expired. Right. Okay. So this was interesting. I don't know if any of you guys are using our unusual options widget, but this is really cool because unusual options, generally you're going to pay like an entire subscription fee for unusual options data if you get it from somebody who just does unusual options. And I'm not down in any of the retailers that sell unusual options. Those products are great. But we have them on the platform too. We specifically only track unusual options. That's block trades and sweep trades over $20,000. So we're not seeing every single options trade that comes through. We're just seeing the big ones. And lots of traders use these unusual options to give them an idea for where price might go. So we look for kind of oddball trades. We look for kind of out of the ordinary trades to come in to help give us some idea about where price might be headed. And this is one that I found when I was working on the video and the blog post. This buyer on May 26th, just 3 days off the all-time highs. I think they're the all-time highs. If they're not the all-time highs, they're probably pretty close. Yeah, so they're pretty close. I think it was all-time highs. Anyway, this buyer came in on May 26th, and they bought the 105 put for June 17th expiry. They spent $3.4 million on this order. And what was interesting was the open interest on the order. So open interest is the amount of contracts that are available. It's the amount of contracts that this order took up out of the total number. What's up, Connor? Thanks for being here, man. So this thing took up 2,300% of the open interest. So clearly a huge relative size order if it's taking up 23x the average. So 3.4 million block trade, a very short expiry at the time, just a month out, even less, 3 weeks out for 105 puts. This thing was trading at $94 at that time. And it fell almost 11% in 3 weeks. So if this buyer held, this is a massive windfall here. Who knows? You could maybe use a theoretical calculator if you have TOS or something like that, and find out how much this person made. But they probably took it to the bank, man. They crushed this trade. So this is kind of an interesting instance of big money coming in and the price moving in the same direction as the big money was positioned. Sometimes you'll see the opposite of that. Sometimes you'll see big money come in right on a breakout, and you'll see these huge orders come in for calls. And what you can kind of assume when that's happening is that they're selling. Retail is wanting to buy these calls because they see a breakout. Big money is yeah, here, I'll give you all the calls you want. And then price immediately reverses. So if you are a TrendSpider user and you have had any trouble utilizing the unusual options data, that's one kind of cool way to go about it. You kind of want to be looking for one thing that I'll do is, and let me expand this real quick. Actually, let me expand this real quick. What I'll do is I'll come in and I'll pull the premium bar. So we can kind of change. We can just kind of sift things out a little bit. So we can filter by expiration date. We can filter by premium, which is the amount paid for the order, and then strike price. So what I like to do is I like to sift by premium. So I like to kind of see where the big premium orders are. So for example, we've got this 110 puts, 2,500% of total open interest. That's kind of interesting. About $1 million in premium, 110 puts for the January 24 expiry. Let me go back to the other view and see when this came in. So this came in on May 31st. Remove all this stuff. So May 31st, we had somebody buying the 110 put. So, maybe this person saw this guy's order over here and was like, yeah, I'm going to jump on that train. They gave themselves more time with January 24. Well, so open interest is the total amount of how much a single order takes up of all the orders that exist on the chain. So we look for large open interest values because those are kind of out of the ordinary, right? If something's taking up 2,459% of the open interest, the amount of orders on for that particular contract was very small, and they went and they got a ton of them. It took up, 2,500%. So what that kind of suggests is conviction, right? If they're willing to like go that hard into these contracts, that might suggest that they're onto something. So you just kind of look at like, where's price, where are they buying the contracts? That's what I do. I mean, like for example, the other biggest order here, this 100 calls, June 10th. So let's go to June 10th and see where they were buying these $100 calls. So this guy probably took some heat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down days before we were able to kind of get above here. So it could have been, maybe, I don't know. What is it? 65% of the open interest. So not as big of an order. What's it say? Almost $1 million. Yeah, right. Could have been hedging. That's kind of where my head was at. Who knows though? We don't know that for sure, but it could have been. Yeah, so we're at all-time high right now on MRK. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Wow. Yeah, dang. What are some of the other names looking like? Like, let's see, J&J or something. Would J&J would kind of be in the same wheelhouse. Almost into new highs. Lilly, right? Yeah. So, oh man, my homeboy Strat Soldier, he was trading Lilly non-stop. Yeah. Look at that thing. Ripping, absolutely ripping. Crazy. So, like, why? Anybody know? I'm kind of curious. I mean, hard to buy it here. We did just make a new high. New highs are not bearish, but like, also, is that why? Because COVID? What does Eli Lilly have to do with COVID? Are they making a COVID drug? Yeah, I really don't know either. But I mean, man, so extended. Like, at least it feels extended. Let's see what happened last time. We made a new high. And we held all this stuff. Like, look how nice. Just kind of come in here and holding everything. Right? Hold. Into new highs. But you have this big gap here. That's concerning. Like, I would just have a hard time buying this. Yeah, maybe. I mean, guess so, man. Connor, did you have any other questions about unusual options or anything? Let's keep on scoping the scene here. I'm going to go back to SPY and kind of check out what's going on. Man, they are just killing options again, kind of like what they did on Friday. Like this whole scene on Friday, just destroying options. And it kind of feels like that's what they're doing here. They kind of held the daily low. Sure thing, Connor. Absolutely. No problem at all. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. So let's see. So the low that brought us to the relative high of the day, and we found some resistance. Oops. So what I'm kind of personally hoping for, I'm hoping we get some pullback here on SPY. I don't know if we're going to get it. Kind of looks like maybe we won't, but I really want to see it sooner than later. So I'm looking for maybe some moves at least back into here. What would really be awesome, where I would be like super, super excited, is coming back into 366. I know this would be super scary, but man, if we could get it, that would be sweet. So what I'm going to do, at least for now, I'm just going to set, one of my favorite things about TrendSpider is the alerts. Like, the alerts are my eyes and ears. I'm looking at so many things all day, and I can't look at charts all day. You know, we have to work, but I use these alerts like crazy. So I'm just going to create an alert here, and I'm just going to give it any of these triggers because I don't really care what it does when it gets there. I kind of anticipate a bit of a bounce there, but you know, who knows? Anything could happen. So I want to be alerted regardless of these instances. And something to keep in mind on our alerts: each of these instances are unique. They are all different. They all are looking for different things. So make sure you understand, make sure you read the definitions below here. Make sure you understand the difference between what these alerts are. Back when I used to be on the support team assisting customers all day, we got lots of questions about this. So if you want to be alerted on a bounce, make sure you understand what a bounce, how a bounce is defined. Make sure you understand how a touch is defined. Make sure you understand how a breakthrough is defined. If you want to be alerted on a couple of things, you can select a couple of things. You can select all three. I'm going to have my sensitivity turned up a little bit. I don't know if price is going to get quite there, but I suspect that it might. But I want to be alerted even if it gets close. I'm going to put my confirmation candle down to the smallest time frame because I want to be alerted as soon as I can. That's 5 minute. I'm going to call this Watch Spy because I don't know what I'm going to want to do if price gets there. There's a chance I might want to take maybe some calls. I might want to go long for like a quick bounce. My gut instinct is if it gets here, it's probably going to end up going lower. So this bounce might not hold very long. So I'd have to think about that and kind of see how quickly it takes us to get there. But I want to be alerted when it gets there. So we're going to set the expiration. Actually, let's just set it for like 15 days, and we'll set it for a couple of triggers, create alert. And so now this alert's just chilling in my system. I don't have to really watch SPY, right? Like if I think price is coming here, then I'm just going to let it get there. And I could, of course, set alerts above too, you know, kind of where we paused today or kind of where we're finding some resistance. Maybe I want to see price get above that and want to be alerted on that too. So I could say create alert. And for this, I'll bring my sensitivity all the way down. I'll choose just a breakthrough, and then I'll set my confirmation candle. And just so you understand why I'm choosing breakthrough and having my sensitivity all the way down, I don't want to be alerted if price gets close. I don't care. I only want to know if price actually gets above. So that's why I use breakthrough, because it won't alert me unless it actually breaks through. And then I turn the sensitivity all the way down because, again, I don't want to be alerted if price gets close. I want it to break through that level, that specific level. So turn the sensitivity off means price has to actually get through that specific level. So create an alert there. So now I've got alerts on both ends. I don't really want to trade the in-between because, as we've talked about on, you know, half of the names, price could very easily consolidate for a while, and this chop is going to kick my butt. I'm just not good at trading it. So I want to go where I feel most comfortable, and you know, that's going to be kind of at specific pivot levels. So that's why I'll do that. So these will be my eyes and ears, and I don't have to look at SPY until I get an alert to let me know that price is either down here or price is up here. If it's down here, then I have a series of things that I have planned to do. And if it's up here, then I have a series of things that I plan to do. You could even leave that series of notes. You could leave notes in those alerts so that when the alert comes to you, either via text or if you're on the platform or via email, you can read the note, and the note will tell you, hey, price is breaking through this level. You want to do this here, because you left yourself that note. Nevin, let's see here. 416, 460, failed to maintain, broke 416, hit 378, 378, 460. What are we talking about here? We're talking about SPY. All right, let's let's walk through your analysis, my friend. 416 to 460. All right, so here's your 460 level. Here's your 416 level. Yeah, so the 460, what a fake out, right? They gained these highs and then took us down. What a fake out. 416, 378, 416. Yep. I get you. Curious to see. Yeah, see, that's kind of where my head's at too, Nevin. That's where my head's at too. I think at the very least, we got to go back. We've got that gap below. I know we've got gaps above. I know we've got untested levels above. I know there's lots of stuff that we could do still to the upside. But I think we got to go back. And where my head's at, I think this level is going to be important, that 382. I think probably somewhere in here as well could find some support. Maybe if price like cuts right through 382, maybe we come back into 377 and we bounce. We do a little bounce in throughout here. But I think ultimately we got to come back in here and at least maybe tag somewhere around 369, maybe 366, something like that. Yeah, all right, let's talk about that, Brad. Gaps below. Yeah, hey, you know, you ain't wrong. There's your gap right there. Never filled. So yeah, you know, Brad, you might be onto something. There's a gap right here. Actually, let me just put on the gap tool. That would make things so much easier, wouldn't it? Love this gap detector. I'm going to, though, go back up on the gap factor just to kind of make it chill out a little bit. There we go. All right, so what do we have left? 290? I mean, do we think 290 is possible? Man, that is way down there, ain't it? Absolutely, Nevin. Absolutely. I'm real glad you're here, man. I really appreciate it. I hope you're a man, because I just called you man. If you're not a man, I apologize. Yeah, you're right. You're right. 5-year bear market probably does bring us back to 290. No problem. I mean, still, that's higher than the COVID lows, right? It is not out of the question. It's totally possible. I mean, my head was kind of at that 350 level. Kind of in here. It's kind of what I was thinking. I don't know. 314, kind of interesting. I don't know. How are Qs looking right now? Actually, you know what? I'm going to go to IWM here. Because IWM of the bunch today anyway was the strongest. So that's interesting because IWM has been weakest the past 2 weeks. SPY and the Qs have been the strongest, and IWM has been the weak one. And now we're kind of seeing a little bit of a change here, where IWM is now the stronger one. Yeah, coming right into that gap. Let's go Qs. Yeah, they all look rough, huh? What do you think, Brad? Where are we headed, boy? Brad and Braden. What do you guys think? It's going to zero. see where we at. Are we gonna crack new low a day? Yeah, did we? Oh no, we did. Yeah, we made new lows. Yeah, man. What's Twitter say? I don't know. You tell me. Yeah, right? I mean, if they are, then you know, that tells you something, right? I'm anxious to see what the guys bring to the show tomorrow. Twitter was bull posting. Okay. So that tells you something for sure. All right, so how are we playing this? We got 5 minutes left, right? Yeah, 4 minutes left. Justin, what's up, buddy? Anybody who's here right now, tuned in, Justin Wiedock, this man is a TrendSpider extraordinaire. He is one of the guys who does the one-on-ones. So if you are interested in a one-on-one training session with some guys, with any of the guys from our team, Justin, you might get paired up with Justin. Great kid. Love him a bunch. He will take good care of you. Thanks, Braden. Appreciate that, homie. PFE. Let's talk Pfizer. I know some folks who were very, very bearish on Pfizer. What do we do? I mean, let's see. Yeah, I mean, kind of right into an area that has made it this far. I would almost expect it to come up to 53. Yeah, I would expect it to come up in here, personally. 53 and a half, somewhere thereabouts. 52, 53 and a half. Expect like 1 or 2 more days. I mean, you held here, right? You held here, so you gotta be a little bit careful. But let's go weekly. I mean, I could see this, maybe. Maybe it would make more sense kind of in here. Or maybe even, I mean, that's pretty low. Kind of held this stuff. I don't know, maybe in here. That would be an epic move, though. How are you playing it, Braden? %. I mean, even this. 12%. August, September puts, which ones? I'm kind of curious about at the money. Okay, cool. Yeah, so like what would negate it? I don't know when you got these things. 52s and 50s, yeah. So I mean, at the very least, right? You kind of want to be in this general. Well, you said 52s or 50s, so let me move you down to like 51. Yeah, so like, where's your stop at? That's kind of tricky. The 20,000% open interest order is Braden. Is this you, Braden? No, you said August, September. Let's see. Actually, let's do this. Hold up. Let's see if I can find you, Braden. I know you play for keeps. Let's go to the big money here. Okay. Is this you right here? 50 puts. 221K in premium. This you? Braden? 4.57%. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It probably was him. I know Braden. I know how he rolls. Yeah, I might. I mean, I don't know anything about. So maybe why are you bearish on Pfizer here, Braden? Outside of price action, is there a fundamental reason? Or is it just price action? Let's throw some other stuff up on the chart here. Like, where's this guy at? That's the 200 SMA. What is this? Why is this hanging out in my chart? Get off my chart. Mainly price action. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, what happened here? I wonder. Let's see. Did they have earnings? No. Yeah, mRNA. What's mRNA looking like these days? I haven't looked at that in a while. Yikes. Yo. Yeah, if it follows mRNA. That'd be pretty hot. mRNA back to 73. Yeah. Hood. Let's go. What's up with Hood? Yikes. I'm gonna have to talk to JC about this on Thursday. For anybody who's watching right now, no. Really? What's the rumor? Is the rumor that FTX is buying Hood or like taking a percentage stake in them? I think I had heard maybe they were taking like 10% or something. Does he want to buy it outright? Holy moly. Interesting. Well, dang. So this just happened. Like, huh. Interesting. I mean, we kind of know the deal with Sam, right? Like, it's hard to fade Sam. Got it. Interesting. I know that the All-Star Charts guys were liking Hood. We talked about it. It was one of Chicago Sean's ideas a couple weeks ago on the Trade Ideas Twitter space. But I kind of want to say that they had pretty tight stops on it. Like, I think they were trying to trade it above 10, and below 10 they weren't interested. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. Historically, it's not the greatest thing in the world to fade Sam. Coinbase to 0. I mean, Coinbase keeps on kind of dropping the ball, don't they? They just fired, what, 18% of their staff? Something like that. Or some pretty sizable percentage of their staff. And they also had some, like, know your customer stuff rules changed, I believe. What's Coinbase look like? Terrible. $55. My God. That's crazy. They email me every day. If you are just tuning in and you're not in the chat, hop in the chat and say hello. Please. I want to know who all's here. If you haven't said hello yet, or if you said hello earlier and you haven't said hello recently, say hello again. Where are we at here? We're at 2:06. How do we close? I should have been watching. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, they're just killing premium. Tyler, Scarberry, what's happening, man? How are you? What were you trading today? What's up, 4D4N? How are you doing today? What are you trading today? Yeah, maybe they gain it. I don't know. Another boring day. Yeah. You're not missing anything, Brad. Everybody watch out for Bread coming out of retirement. The day Bread comes out of retirement, full port, everything. Follow the man on Twitter. Why not, 4D? Oh, nice. Happy birthday, Tyler. Well, happy recent birthday. Exciting to be getting into trading. That's super cool. Glad that you're here hanging out with us. Mondays are tough. Mondays are really tough. There's some really good trades early in the day. But clearly, the rest of the day, awful. Tyler, you're new to this game. You see price action that looks like this? Chill. Sit on the sidelines. Let your setups come to you. Tyler, what got you wanting to get into trading? All right, well, I'm waiting to hear from Tyler about trading. Let's see, 4D, how is Tesla looking today? Gosh, boring is how it's looking today. My gosh, they're just killing premium left, right, and center. Tough to be a trader today. Really, really tough, but we can talk about it. Let's remove all this stuff. Just turn off stuff here. If you guys, I don't know if you guys have been here for a while, or if you're just tuning in. I'm Jason, and my kind of like the way that I like to trade, I like to trade off price action. So essentially, we are just stuck in a range, and because we're stuck in a range, there is not a trade here for me. So let's talk about this range. It's kind of in between here and here. I know it's a big range, 650 to 773. There's certainly trades that you can take in here, but for me, you know, I'm looking for something powerful, and the longer we float around in here, this price action is going to get tighter and tighter, and they're just going to keep on killing options. So we're going to be looking for moves out, up and out, or down and out. So, you know, that could be something that looks like this. That could be something that looks like this, right? And any number of different things, but that's kind of where my head's at. So like for me, I'd be chilling. I would be waiting around, waiting for something to happen. Now you do have, you know, you have a high here, you have a lower high, potentially making a lower high today. We have not made a lower low, at least since this bottom, since this near term bottom, May 24th. So I think you just kind of got to chill and wait. If you want to, you could sell premium, right? You could do a strangle or something, or straddle, I guess, straddle, and sell calls, sell puts. but I can't trade this. This is just there's not enough action. Trying to start building money as soon as I can so I can work at 2 jobs, saving a lot, about to start college. Congratulations on that. Awesome, Tyler, man, so stoked to have you on. And, you know, I don't know if you were here earlier, but like I said, if you're new to the platform, which sounds like you are, take us up on the fact that we have people to help answer questions. So down in the bottom right hand corner of your chart, there's that contact us button. This is a live feed into our chat room. These are real people here. This is Oleg. This is Dwayne. This is Justin. These guys are my buds. They are here right now waiting for your questions so they can answer them. Just hanging out at their house, trading, answering questions. Hit these guys up anytime you have questions about the platform. If you need a deeper dive into things, you're always welcome to hang out while I'm here and ask questions. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But if you kind of feel like you need kind of more specified training, you can always sign up for a training session with one of those guys. You can do that by clicking on your name in the top right corner, scroll down to where it says schedule training. You won't see it on my side because I'm an employee here, but you will see it on your side. So you just click that schedule training button. It brings you to a calendar. Sign up for a time that works, and you'll get about 45 minutes with either Justin or Dwayne or our good friend Matt. Those guys can all help you out with any questions that you have. George, I'm going to call you George. Yeah, man. Let's check out CLF. Cleveland Cliffs. Yikes. George. This doesn't look great, friend. But there is a trade here. For sure. Let's talk about it. All right. So, always big time frames. Now, the first kind of problem, something that I, as a price action guy, would concern me. You've made a lower low. We took out this low. Now, what might they have done? They might have, and by they, I just mean market participants. They saw this low, right? And what do you know exists at this low? You know that a bunch of stops exist at that low. So what did they do? They took out all of those stops. That's what this is. So there was a bunch of liquidity down here just below this low. They kind of swooped price just underneath it, took out all those stops, bounced it back. That happened last week. That's not great, right? You kind of want to see this hold, and it didn't. They didn't close below it, so that's something. You have your kind of secondary low right around in here, and this whole kind of area through here, and that did hold. Will it continue to? I don't know. It could. You said you need 18, so I don't know how you're playing this, but the way that I would have played it is, honestly, I probably would have tried to buy when they droop below. That would have been a first thought. My first thought would have been holding somewhere about here. There was that little gap. And so really probably what I would have tried to play is this candle, and they immediately fail it. So that's like kind of, for me, concerning. I would say if they take out this near-term low, ooh, not so great. What I'd be looking for, though, if I'm bullish, I'd be looking for a move back somewhere in here. And I know this is a wide range, but this thing's weak, right? We've made a new low. So to me, that kind of suggests continuation lower. And we've not only have we made new lows, we continuously are making lower highs, right? Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and so on. So I think, and you know, I'm just one guy, right? If this thing continues higher, I would be looking for kind of a move back to 20. Who knows when it might get there. I would be, man, they might have taken, if I had gone long off of this low, they might have taken my stop today, depending on the way that I played out this trade. So that kind of would be where my head's at. I would have a stop somewhere in here between this low 1530 and this high 1630. Just this, I'm just referring to that low candle. Like I would have a stop somewhere in here. And I'd be looking for a move back up to about where we failed. You make this low, we gain, and we fail, and we just have not come back to test any of this. So I would anticipate that at some point, and whether or not we get it, I don't know. You know, really hard to say. Yeah, it just depends, George. It just depends on like where that dead cat bounce comes into play, right? Like let's go back to the weekly. You know, you really got to see this stuff hold here. Like in particular this. You really need to see this hold. Because we're starting the warning shot of like lower lows here. You have a higher low in comparison to this, and then all of a sudden now we have a lower low in comparison to this. It wouldn't shock me though to see a bounce over the coming weeks, to see it bounce and make its way maybe at least back up to fill through that gap. But I don't know, hard to say. Really hard to say. Let's see where we're at. One thing, I don't know how long you've been here, George, but one thing that I like to do is measure anchored VWAPs from the nearest or the lowest low on a big time frame, and you know, depending on what you're looking at, that's relative, right? But I'm gonna look within the past couple of years, basically, and the COVID low usually fits the bill. So if I right click on that candle and I go COVID low anchored VWAP, this is every buyer. This is the average price of our buyers from the COVID low. So our average buyer owns this stock currently at $18.12. And you can see when we came back and like made this nice pullback here in January, we kind of found support at that anchored VWAP. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close. And that's not a surprise because you anticipate that the average buyer, if they're in the money, they're going to stay in the trade, and you anticipate that they're going to act as support, which they oftentimes will do. Well, you have kind of a change of that trend, if you want to call that a trend. You have a change of that trend right here in June, just a couple weeks ago. Price was able to get below it and close below it too. So that's a sign that your average buyer is kind of throwing in the towel and saying, yeah, nuts to this. I'll come back. I'll revisit at a later time, because you really want to see those average buyers hold the line. Now, we're just measuring from the COVID lows. We could go back to these lows here, 2016. You know, we're kind of shooting in the dark here. I think the farther back you get, the less relevant, personally, I think it becomes. That may not be true. We would maybe need to talk to Brian Shannon about that to know for sure. But that's kind of how I like to do it. Stocks and uptrends, I like to measure from lows. Stocks and downtrends, I like to measure from highs. So that's kind of where my head's at. And I don't know if you just saw kind of where that anchored VWAP landed, but it landed kind of just below that level that really needs to hold. Because if this stuff doesn't hold, if this like 13 stuff doesn't hold, you got a long way back. You got, let's see here, you got 875 could be a spot where price could find some support, maybe. You know, lots of consolidation down there. You've got this 680 level. You've even got down here 413. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's, you know, if you're buying the falling knife, you got to be prepared to get cut, right? Always better to let price prove itself. Let price find some support. Let it bounce. Let it pull back and let it find some more support. Bounce. Start looking for that trend again. What's going on, guys? Anybody else around with any other questions? I'm happy to keep hanging out here with y'all. Let's kind of zoom around. Let's look at what's Bitcoin doing. Yeah, Bitcoin. INTC. Let's see. Remove everything. Yeah, so kind of like that same idea that we just looked at. Change this. This is kind of, we see this a lot. David, I can go back over it for sure. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it very much. So INTC, let's go big time frame. Where are we coming from? Huge level, trend start, right? This is the area that brought us up to the high. We're coming back and testing it. So that 35.86 level, pretty freaking important. You know, we can kind of see as well the 37-ish, kind of where we broke out from. Also pretty important. Kind of where it's finding support right now. Kind of want to see it hold. Maybe I would even go up here. Tough spot to be short is what I'm going to say about this. Tough spot to be short, George. Not saying that it won't continue lower. Absolutely could. But a tough spot to be short because you're coming into this, you know, this really important trend start area. Let's go to a smaller time frame. Yeah, kind of in here. Could be in here, could be in here, you know. It's loose. But kind of where my head would be at would be failures of where, you know, price bouncing and then finding some resistance where we failed previously. What does this look like? Yeah, kind of like what happened here. You have this like, you know, kind of near-term low that brought you up. And we bounce here, we bounce here. And then notice how we kind of consolidate around it and ultimately fail. It's kind of loose levels, but you know, you get the idea. So then the next kind of area is somewhere in here. Price, you'd want to see price come up into this and start failing. And this would be your area to kind of start thinking about shorts. I mean, it could even be up here. You know, it just depends on depends on so much. Let's see, they got earnings. I just click in this other data button, turning on earnings. They got earnings July 21st, so a couple weeks out on earnings. You know, I don't know. They make chips, right? So how has their supplies, you know, is what's going on with China? Is that messing up their supplies or anything like that? Are they able to ship what they normally would? So that'd be something to kind of consider. But again, tough place to short here. I would be more so looking for a continuation move into kind of some areas of resistance that we had lost previously to be going short if I were thinking about a short. All right, so David, let's talk SPY. Yeah, so the title of the show today, Indices Stalling. And, you know, that was kind of what we came up with earlier. It's kind of what it felt like was going on. And I don't know if they're stalling. They could be distributing here, right? They clearly are trying to wipe out options. Or if they're not trying to, they're certainly doing a good job of it, because no matter what side of the options chain you're on, you're getting theta decay. So that's not great. We came up, we filled this gap pretty nicely, and we're failing. So for me, what I would kind of want to see to consider, you know, the continuation move to the upside, I need to see some new highs. So we need to be getting above kind of this stuff and, you know, up into this gap here. Tough for me to be long right now, only because it feels like we're a little bit extended. Now, our good friend Bread earlier, I don't know if he's on the stream anymore, but our good friend Bread we were talking about these gaps at these lows, and I was saying, you know, would love to see these gaps backfill. He suggested if we go back and we look at the COVID low, just kind of zooming in here, big gap at the COVID low. There's a second one too right here, 290, never got filled. So just because there are gaps below does not mean that they need to be filled. Same is true for gaps to the upside. Doesn't mean they have to get filled. You know, my gut instinct says either we go sideways here for a little while and we like really kind of flesh out this extension, because you have to consider last week SPY off the lows gained 7.7%. That's a big freaking move. So to kind of consolidate sideways and digest some of that would not be a surprise. You do have to be mindful of what happened last time this happened, right? Look at this last move off the previous lows, 9.1%. And what do? We went sideways 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days before ultimately breaking lower. Could that happen here? 100% chance it could. Will it? I don't know, but it could. So just tread accordingly. Know what has happened in the past. Preferably, what I'd love to see for a short op would be a move back up into here, this 407 level. That's where I would be really, especially if we keep extending like in any sort of powerful way. I would be really interested in getting a short on around here. And the reason why, I'm gonna remove everything. The reason why is because you would have a clean stop above those previous highs. So I'm just using the position drawing tool. Put my stop up here above those highs. Oh, shoot. Bring this down. With a profit target somewhere down in here. That would be what I'd be shooting for. You have over 3R on that trade. So that's kind of where my head would be at on it, David. What do you think? Curious what you think. Oops. But maybe we just go sideways for a week, you know? Who knows? If we do go sideways for a week, then we kind of look for the same sort of thing, right? Break down, that tells us something. Break up, that tells us something. Got to be really, really quick is what I've found. And I have missed out on quite a bit of profits because I'm taking profits or I'm taking stops too quickly. But more often than not, I'm finding that it's serving me. I would rather be quickly in and out kind of right now because it's very difficult. We're just not in a trending market. We're just kind of going sideways, extend sideways. It's tough. Any questions from anybody else? Anybody who's tuned in right now, I want to say thank you so much. This is my first time doing this. First of many, though. We're going to be doing this a lot. We're going to be doing this at least a couple days a week. Just hanging out kind of towards the end of the day. Maybe we'll do it some during the middle of the day. Maybe we'll do it some in the morning. I don't really know. We're kind of keeping it loose. But we really want to get into the process or get into the repetition of doing this all the time. Yeah, David, so tough to say. Right now, the way that we're doing it, what we did today was we started at about 2:30ish Eastern. So we just hung out for the last hour and a half of the session. We might continue doing that, kind of just power hour and the hour after. God, excuse me. We might do some opening session. I mean, it's really kind of I'm up for whatever. I'm stoked to be here hanging out with you guys and getting to talk shop all day. So I'm down to do this kind of anytime. But we're just kind of testing to see. Thanks, Chewy. Appreciate that. So that's a good question, David. I have not decided about live trading yet. I don't know. I just don't know how that would work. I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. I would actually really like to do that. I would love to be able to do more like swing trading. We are going to be adding live futures to the platform here pretty soon. And I've really been getting interested in trading futures. So that might be something. And if we're trading futures, we can talk about the direct correlation between SPY and the Qs and Q and ES and that sort of stuff. We might do some of that, David. We might. I don't want to say no to that. I just don't know for sure how that's going to go down. Like I said, we're really just kind of feeling it out. We definitely want to kind of be here, hanging out with you guys. I know a lot of folks just sitting around watching their charts all day, looking for people to hang out with. So that's kind of my role, is just kind of kick it here and answer any platform related questions that you have, talk about trading ideas, talk through charts, etc. And the more people come hang out, the more likely I am to be here more often. So, if you have enjoyed the stream so far, just come back next time we do it. I think we're going to do this again, maybe one more time this week. I don't know for sure, but potentially on Wednesday, potentially on Friday. So thanks, Brayden. I love you too, buddy. Where can you find strategy ideas for day trading? William, man, good question, brother. So one place you could go, if you go to the TrendSpider, if you go to TrendSpider.com, actually, let me take you there. And you go to the TrendSpider blog. What I would recommend, this is cool, 5 awesome day trading scanners. So this is a blog post that I wrote relatively recently. And in this post, I go over the idea. I go over why it's an idea. I go over how the strategy works, how you can script it in the platform. I even give you the links to the scanners so you can add them on your own. There are examples of how to place the trades. There are examples of what the trades look like. 5 different ideas here. So if you're looking for some strategy ideas, this would be a really cool place to start. Another thing that you could do, if you go to your market scanner, over here on the left-hand side, this is a shared scanners list. These all look for all kinds of different things. You're welcome to kind of play around with these. If you have any questions about any of them, we can definitely talk through the conditions that are contained within them. You can get ideas for trade ideas here. You can get strategy ideas in this chat. There's some smart traders hanging out right now. Brayden, he's a great trader. Bread911, great trader. These are guys I personally know. Ask them questions, Want to pick some strategies that have been back tested and have a decent win rate that I can build from? Yeah, for sure. That's a great idea. So what you can actually do with this, from this blog, you could take this link right here. We're going to copy it. We go paste. And what you could do is you can take that link and you can load that scanner into your account so that you can utilize it. And then from there, once you have that scanner, so for example, 8-21, this is a very basic idea. Scott Redler is a big proponent of the 821 EMA cross. The Theta Warrior uses 821 EMAs. There's a lot of pretty well-known traders that use these particular EMAs. They may all use them slightly different ways, but you can actually take this whole thing, this whole set of conditions. I think I've already got it saved, and you can come into our strategy tester, go to script actions, load from template. Oh, I don't have it as a script yet. Let me do that. Hold on one sec. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to 821. And I'm going to go, what am I doing here? Oh, right. Gosh, I'm sorry. Script actions, save as template. I'm going to call this 8-21. Say save. So now I've got it saved as a script, and what I can do is in my strategy tester, I can go to my script here, load from template, 8-21. And so now those conditions that I was scanning for, and this is just essentially either an 8 crossing up on a 21 or an 8 crossing down on a 21, and in tandem prices either closing above or below the cross. I can use this as like entry criteria for a back test, and then I just need to define my exit criteria, whatever that may be, and we'll just do like a number of candles have passed, let's say 30. And I could choose how long I'm testing or how far back I'm testing. In this case, 7,000 candles. I'm testing it on the SPY. And it's going to tell me how this strategy performs on the SPY over a period of time. Now, I know I just went through that really, really fast. We can kind of go through that much more slowly for you. If this is something that you're interested in learning how to do, what I would recommend is reach out to our support team. You could do that by clicking on the contact us button here down in the bottom right hand corner and ask any questions that you have. But what you may even prefer is you may prefer like a training session with one of the guys on our team, and you can schedule that by clicking on your name in the top right corner and then scrolling down to where it says schedule training. Okay, great. Right on, William. Cool. Just wanted to make sure. So that's what I would do. I would just play around with that. And then you could, you can change all this stuff. Like try changing the EMA lengths, try changing the time frames. On this particular scan, it's looking for both the long and the short ideas, right? We're looking for either the 8 crossing up on the 21 and price closing above, or the 8 crossing down on the 21 and price closing below. If you only want to look for the bullish setup, which is the 8 crossing up on the 21 and price closing above, then you could just kind of delete the bearish setup from the conditions if you want to. And in that, in this blog post, you'll see, let me go back to the 821 part. You'll see how it says these conditions define that price is above the EMA. These define that price or that the EMA is crossed up within the past 3 candles, and so on. That's true. Yes. Any plans to expand the back tester to do multiple tickers at a time? I don't know. I really don't know. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. But clicking through to a new name will run the test on that particular name. So it's not a great solution, but the best solution that we can offer is you can click through different symbols and run the test on each symbol. And maybe you can just kind of like have a notepad next to you and jotting down, Tesla happens to have it hasn't been performing very well using this strategy, negative 14% loss or a negative 15% loss versus a 21% gain over the same period of time. Whereas with SPY, you're not really losing. I believe it was so SPY over that same period of time, you have a negative 0.56% loss versus a negative 7.66% loss, just the buy and hold. So then you may want to go around and play and see if playing both strategies doesn't work, maybe I want to just remove the bullish side, or maybe I want to just remove the bearish side. You just got to play around with it and see. There is actually another blog too. Let me show you this. There's another blog that I wrote and this was some time ago. Let's see if we can find it. Where I did a bunch of back testing of common day trading strategies, just to see which one happened to perform the best. Now, again, it's specific, right? It may not be exactly the strategy that you have in mind, but it can give you an idea of how to start thinking about this stuff. Gosh, where is it? Five popular day trading strategies exposed. Yeah, so in this one, you have an RSI strategy, a MACD Bollinger Band strat, an Ichimoku strat, a moving average strat, and a reversal candle strat. Now, these are just testing a specific symbol. I believe it was SPY. It's been a while since I wrote this, but yeah, SPY ETF. We look at different time frames. We test back 7,000 candles on each time frame, and we have like a breakdown of how the time frames performed, which one performed the best, and so on. Yeah, I think, William, I think you got the right idea, man. I think that's really, really smart. Hone your focus to just one or two styles and keep, you know, what do they say? Sit on your hands until those different conditions pop up. I think it's a great idea. Also, you know, I kind of give you a strong recommend on sticking to a particular symbol too. Like if you can get comfortable trading one symbol, you get to know the personality of that symbol. Personally, I really kind of primarily just trade SPY or the Qs, mostly just SPY. Anybody else here that has not said hello? If you haven't said hello, I'm going to be disappointed. If you're here and you haven't said hi, I'm going to be sad. I want you to say hi to me. So come say hi to me. Looks like we had upwards of at least 60 people. That's pretty incredible. I got to give you guys props, man. That's pretty awesome. We did not expect to have such a good turnout day one, especially considering we didn't promote that we were doing this at all. We just kind of threw it on you guys. Hey, you're a lurker. That's fine. You could be a lurker, but also don't be afraid to say hi. I'm a nice guy. And I want to meet everybody that's here, more importantly. Heda, what are you trading today? Or what did you trade today? Are you trading anything today? Ooh, Bitcoin coming into a spot. Kind of like where we might expect it to fail. That's interesting. If any of you guys are trading Bitcoin these days. Yeah, that's a big spot. Did find support, a little bit of support right off of that anchored VWAP from those lows, those June 18th lows. God, it seems like a month ago that this thing was at 17.5, but that was literally what, like 6 days ago, 7 days ago? Crazy. What about Solano? Oh man, my Solana chart looks insane. Haha. This is my Solana chart that I sent to a friend. But man, it's so darn clean. And so, you know, it's clean. I mean, I could talk through this, but God, this is insanity. So let's go to a different one. Yeah, this is cleaner. All right, so yeah, we had our data feed provider kind of flubbed the data here. Trade SPY, but it's been difficult. What do I usually trade? How do I trade SPY? So usually I'm trading dailies or weekly options, and I'm usually in those trades for like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes at the most. It's very, very rare that I hold anything. At least right now, it's very rare that I hold anything much longer than that. It's just very difficult to do so in this environment. Keep getting chopped out. So yeah, I'm just looking at my account here. Today I traded the June 27 390 weekly calls. I traded the June 22 383 put. I traded the June 22 390 put, and I traded the June 22 378 put. Oh no, the June 30 Oops, no, I told you guys all wrong. So June 27th, 390 call. June 27th, 383 put. June 27th, 390 put. And June 30th, 378 put. Those are the 3 things I traded today, or the 4 things I traded today. Just depending on kind of where price was. Yep. Haida, just support resistance levels, looking for levels gained, lost. Yep. I oftentimes will have a daily VWAP on. So, for example, I like to know. I wanted to know this. This is an important VWAP from Friday's open. We want to know where price is in relation to that. We want to know where price is in relation to today's. So for this, I'm just right-clicking on the candle and creating an Alpha Trends anchored VWAP from there. So the first trade I took today, I actually took. Sometimes I'm even on the 1 minute. I know it's insanity, but it was a really clean trade. I took this. I kind of took this trade right here, somewhere right in here. I took a 1, and I'm trading very small, but just puts here, and I think I was out within a bar or two. What I need to do is I need to start marking my trades on the chart. I can't remember where else I traded. I took this because we kind of gained this high, and I had a feeling that we might come back. At some point, we were pretty extended. One thing I like to look for is price kind of being extended from. No, I guess it wasn't on SPY. I like to look for price getting extended from the mean, meaning really far percentage-wise from a VWAP. Whenever price gets super extended in one direction or another, it does have a tendency to come back to that mean level. So I'm kind of always looking for that too. Maybe I traded. I can't remember. I was up on the day, but not a ton. It was a small percentage. Yeah, so it's what this is really no different than your VWAP, just your standard VWAP. It's just an anchored VWAP, right? And VWAP resets at the start of each new day. So anchoring it by yourself or just using the standard VWAP is pretty much the same thing. But because it resets, I will, if I'm looking back in time and I want to know where the VWAP is from a point back in time, I'm gonna manually anchor that one. Yeah, Braden. So with futures, I've just recently. I know that this is kind of stupid, but I just recently saw the light on why you would want to be watching futures if you're trading SPY in the Qs. Folks have been trying to convince me that was the way to do it for a long time, and I've just been lazy about doing it. But I finally took the time to understand why, and now I understand why, and now I do actually watch ES pretty much all the day. We are going to be getting live futures data on the platform here quite soon, so I am super stoked for that, because that's definitely something that I want to utilize all the time. We never got talking about Solana. Let's talk about Solana. Are you still with me, Braden? If you're here, I'm going to talk about Solana. I think I did it on FNX. Maybe I didn't. Braden. Okay. So call me crazy, but this is kind of how I was looking at it. And we were talking, actually, David and I were talking about this, David Yoakum. We weren't talking about Sol, where did I put it on? Actually, let's do this. Yeah, okay. Here's my insane chart. But I think that this is I think that I pretty much kind of got it. So this is kind of how I'm learning to trade here. And this is price action trading. So we're looking for levels that we lost, right? We're looking for levels lost and or levels gained. So if we just go from a near-term high, we can measure from really kind of any near-term high, but like I used this one, and I look at where we gained or where we lost, right? Like the candle that brought us up to a high, I'm going to measure off of that, and I'm going to look for price. What does price do when it gets there, right? So we lost where we bounced to gain that high. We lost it right here. So we come back, we test it, and we fail. And we just keep on doing that all the way down, downtrend. So we bounce right here. We come up to another relative. It's not a higher high, but it's a relative high. We fail it. We come back to it and test, and fail, right? And we can keep on doing that. Go into the candle that brings us up. When we fail it, we test, we fail. I don't know if you're seeing this. Hopefully I'm kind of talking through it. And then, so that happens, that keeps on happening. We keep on failing through the lows, keep on failing. And we fail here, right? And then we come back and we kind of gain momentarily. And that is a change of trend, right? This is a change of what we had seen from this $45 level. When we came back and we tested where we had failed, we were never really able, like there's a failure to gain right here, because we pop above it and they immediately sell off again. We wick through, we wick through. We're never able to get back above where we lost. We're not able to get back above here, here, here. But then where we lose here, we lose and then we gain. And we actually trade above and we test the previous high. So that is fundamentally different action than what we had seen from up here. So that, what I would call that like a first warning shot, right? Because that's a fundamental change. Well, we ultimately end up failing, right? We fail here. Low brings us to the high. We fail. We come back and we test. And then what do? Again, we gain, kind of like what we did here. We gained again. So that would be maybe warning shot number 2, because we're gaining. Well, then warning shot number 3 comes when we make a new high relative to this one, right? Because we made a new high, then Mike's style of trading suggests that we need to go back and test kind of what brought us there, which is down here. What do? We test and we hold, and we haven't gone. I mean, that's the low, putting the low there, right? And now what are we seeing? Now we're seeing complete change of trend. Where we were failing, now we keep gaining and holding, right? And so on the right-hand side, we held here, we held here. We have not tested this. This is kind of a little bit loose, but we haven't really tested this. We come here, we sort of hold, and we hadn't tested this, but we gained here and we held, and now we failed, and we're testing, right? And we're failing below now. So the whole idea is testing untested pivots. So we've kind of tested this one. The red line is tested, the red line is tested, red line is tested, but this blue line here, untested. This blue line here, untested. Like it's actually kind of like right here. So 32.65, 29.61. These are this area is where I'm looking for longs. BB Swing, what up? This is brand new, BB. You haven't missed anything. This is brand new. Well, you've missed an hour and a half, actually. So you did miss something. But yeah, Braden, that's kind of how and I could be totally wrong, right? But that's kind of how I'm understanding it. Kind of a lot going on here for sure, though. I'm gonna remove everything and kind of just go back to, I think this level and this level are really what are key here. So those two kind of areas are key for me unless we can make a new high. What's up, blind trader? How you doing? Yeah, guys, so if you are just arriving, just getting here, this is brand new. This is not something that we've had for a long time. We have had a chat now. We have had a chat. If down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen where it says contact us, this is our chat. So you can always holler at us with questions. These are real people answering your questions live every day. But this YouTube live stuff is brand new. We're going to be doing a lot more of this though. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream, and I'm really, really appreciative that you're here for sure. Bear market rally, weak as F. Back to tanking. You think so? Squeeze the cheese? Why do you think that? Tether. Let's see. Is it in trouble? Interesting. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to see these things lose their peg, right? Like that is a fundamentally important thing, because tons of money is stuck. Your charts were lagging today? Did you contact us in chat? All right, Braden, take care, man. Have a good rest of your evening. BB, did you holler at us in chat? Click that contact us button. Let them know that your charts were lagging. What was lagging? Was it, BB, was it particular names that were lagging, or was it just everything was lagging? Whenever you have issues, platform-related issues, first thing you should do, click that contact us button, let us know. Sometimes it might be something that we're aware of, and sometimes it might not be. So, you know, we rely on you guys to let us know that you're having issues. Do not hesitate to reach out to us if you're having a problem. Let's talk about Biddy real quick. I mean, the thing about Biddy is this is stereotypical. When these sorts of things come out, they so often mark bottoms. Now, I'm not saying that that we have bottomed, but I'm just saying, historically speaking, when products like these come out, they have a tendency to mark bottoms. Okay, your IWM and SPY chart froze during the first 2 hours. You know what? Actually, BB, that happened to me too. And there was, I don't know, I would imagine that we posted something about that. There should be, when you, just next time that happens, BB, please, please, please hit us up in chat and let us know that you're experiencing an issue. Oftentimes, if there is an issue, we're going to say it right here where it says we usually reply in a few hours. There'll be an issue that says like ETF, there's something with the data feed going on. We're working away at it. But like sometimes it might be user specific. And if it's user specific, the only way that we'll ever know is if you tell us. So your best bet is just to let us know. There is on the main page, there's a system, like how the system is performing as well. If there's an issue with the platform, we'll always alert it on the main page too. All right, guys, so we are, let's see, where are we at here? We're 2.5 hours into this thing. We had kind of planned on not even going this long. So I want to say thank you so much to everybody who is here right now. This really, really means a lot that you guys are here kicking it with us. We really, really appreciate it. Super, super cool. If you guys have any maybe last minute questions, hit me up. I'm going to hang out for a few more minutes and then I'm going to be getting out of here. But we're going to be doing this, like I said, we're going to be doing this a lot more. trying to make this at least a multiple times a week sort of thing. I love hanging out like this. This is great. This is so much fun, kind of talking shop with you guys. So yeah, if you guys dig it and keep coming back, we're going to keep doing these. Yeah. So the outside of the charts, there is a limitation as far as color. BB, if you click on your name, top right corner, and go to color theme, we have dark, light, good old days, and high contrast. Actually, I don't even know what high contrast is. I've never seen this. This is brand new. I kind of want to just leave my chart how it is, but you can play around with it. These are going to adjust the outside. So we have dark, we have light. That's of course white. Good old days is like a crazy blue color. That's before my time, but apparently there were charting platforms that looked that way. And then high contrast, which again, I don't know what high contrast is, but maybe that's like a really dark black. I'm not sure. Blind Trader, man, I appreciate you being here. Super cool. Any last minute questions about anything? Any charts you guys want me to take a look at or anything like that? Oh no, contrast is it's too strong. Maybe one day we'll expand the palette there. You know, you can always request it. You can always request it, BB. If you click on your name, top right corner, and go down to where it says request a feature. Joy, what's up, Joy Luna? I'm a little sad that you didn't say hello until now. Oh, okay, here we go. You want Lucid. All right. Yeah, request a feature. Just hit us up there and request it. All right, let's look at these real quick. Lucid. LCID, right? Yeah. All right. Always weekly. Always weekly. Yikes. Joy. This is not great, Joy. In my opinion. You know, I don't know anything about this name, but lower lows is ugly. Lower highs is ugly. So, yeah, this is troublesome. Okay, so let me go to a daily. So for me, if I were going to be bullish here, I would need to see this thing trading above kind of this area. And the reason why is pretty easy to see, even if I extend this thing all the way out, right? Like this level, this $20 level, we'll call it $20 psychological. This level is a pretty important area, right? It's an important area of support. And when price fails, it has this tendency to bounce back. It bounced back here. It bounces back. It took a couple of weeks maybe here, but it ends up bouncing back. It fails and bounces back. Well, what are we seeing now? You know, you fail below it, and we're selling off when we test it. We're selling off when we test it. Sell off when we test it. And again, above 20, we can start looking for bullish ideas. Start looking for long ideas. Below 20, I don't see how you can really touch it. It's a tough spot for me personally. So if you're bullish, what I would do, I go down to a smaller time frame. We know that 20 psychological is kind of like where we really want to be. But above that, you know, we can kind of see like maybe from these lows. If you've been here a while, you know I love pulling anchored VWAPs from near-term lows. Well, there you go. Primo reason, right? Price is finding support at anchored VWAP. This is where our average buyer from the June 16th low owns this from. Currently acting as support, we do have this gap below. That gap could come into play at some point. This kind of area in here. We also kind of have some untested, some pivots that might be of interest to us. You know, I would be looking for as close to down here as I could get it if I were trying to go long. somewhere between like 16 and 17 bucks, with the idea of 20 being my target and 15.31 being my stop. That's kind of where my head would be at on it. Tough to buy it right now, because tough to go long here because your trend is down. But we are holding that anchored VWAP. Depends on if you're already in it. Let's see. VWAGY. Volkswagen. What's the story of Volkswagen? Yikes. I mean, not at a bad spot, but like if it's already here, why not go here? It's a pretty ugly chart, not gonna lie. Yeah, I mean, you know, lower lows, lower highs. Maybe you get a bounce. It's trying to. Reportedly nearing a deal to sell its stake in Electrify America to Siemens in a deal that would value the network around $2 billion. Yeah, we don't have any options data because this is an ADR. Let's see if look at insider. Do we have any insider stuff? No, because this is an ADR. Yeah, I mean, could these gaps fill? Sure, they could. I think I would be, if I were long here, I would be looking for a move to this kind of area, kind of just above this second gap. And I would be like if I got long, let's say on the close today, I would be stopped just below this recent low. Maybe give it a little bit of wiggle room with profit target up here. I mean, it's almost a 3R trade. Bring your stop up a little and it becomes a 3R trade. Kind of would be better if you could get it like down here. 19 with a stop below that low. And then you're at a 5.5R trade, much safer. But I would 1877. Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you could get at 1877, the thing that I like about this idea. Yeah, so you're just looking at kind of where it gained and it hasn't tested. Yeah, I mean, yep. Yeah, if you could get it there, then you set your stops here or just below this low. 1856, super, super tight. But that's what you need. I mean, because you're in a downtrend, right? Like it doesn't want it. It's not going up, but it could technically, it could keep bouncing. But like, that's what I would be looking for too. Even maybe like this 883, somewhere there, somewhere down in here. That way, if it does continue failing, you're not risking too much, but you do have, if you're like swinging this. No, this is kind of tricky, man. This is a tricky, you really got it. You're counting on a fundamental data piece to really cause this thing to move, because otherwise it looks terrible, right? As broken as can be. You got to have discipline for sure. DISCIPLINE, I believe is what it is. Yeah, that. I think. That's okay. You don't have to be a good trader. You don't have to be able to spell to be a good trader. You just got to have, good risk parameters. let's see here. Where's ETH at? I'm kind of curious about this too. Yeah, lots of lines here. I know. Kind of crazy. Let's remove them all. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go to a different ETH chart. Coinbase. Yeah, let's go here. Oh, they're all on the Coinbase chart. Let's go to Bitfinex. Ah, they're all there too. Darn. So they're going to be all on all of mine. FTX? They're there too? Yes. All right. So I'm going to turn them off just momentarily. How are we looking? All right, guys. Yeah. Not great. Don't love it. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap up here. I just want to seriously say, again, thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. Everybody who hung out in chat, asked questions. I'm so thankful. It's been really cool talking to all of y'all. Jose Ramirez. All right, you're hitting me with a ticker. Let's do it. QS. QuantumScape. Is that right? Jose. Brother. What are we doing trading this? What are we doing, Jose? Why are we in this? Jose, what do you like about this? Talk to me. Tell me what you like about this. Thank you, Blind Trader. I really do appreciate it. Cheap contracts. Well, yeah, cheap contracts because it's, yeah, like BB Swing says, it's literal death. Look at this. Like, sure, the contracts are cheap, but it's just the same thing as, look at Tilray. I mean, they're, no, you're not. You're not at all. I love doing this. This is all good. I just, you know, cheap can get cheaper. Yes, BB Swing has the right idea. Cheap can get cheaper. They're cheap for a reason. They're cheap because this stock sucks. I mean, you know, there's not really a nice way to say it other than that. The stock sucks. It is not doing anything. I mean, unless you're talking about puts, it's not doing anything to make you want to go long. All it's doing is making brand new lows, all-time lows. You don't want to be buying calls on a stock that is making all-time lows. Now, that being said, what do we need to see in order for things to change? We could talk about it. Well, the first thing that we need to see is we need to see a new relative high, right? Here's your relative high at 1353. So the first thing that we need to see is we need to see price get above 1339. This thing's trading at 955. You're talking about a move to 1339. That is almost, that's a 35% move. It's a huge move. So what's going to happen if price gets to 1339? And people have been buying down here. They're going to be selling, right? And your inclination, if you're not in this already and it happens to find its way there, you're going to want to buy it. And it's going to be the worst time to buy it because everybody who bought it before you is selling, right? Like, it's a huge level. This 13, you could see back in January. Support. And then we fail, and it's resistance now. So the first thing that has to happen is price has to get above that. But it's not going to do that immediately, more than likely. It could. If the right news came out, you know, maybe they make zillions of dollars in earnings this quarter, or Elon Musk offers to buy them. I don't know, right? Like, there's things that could happen, but the odds are not in your favor. So what's more than likely is price comes back at some point and then fails and goes lower, right? So that's like maybe what you would expect. If that doesn't happen, if Elon Musk comes out tomorrow and says, hey, I want to buy QS, and it does something like this, you still can't buy it, right? Because now you missed the trade. So what you have to wait for is you have to wait for it to come back. And preferably you want to see it come back and hold. You want to see it come back to the level that it had, where, you know, this 13 level is a huge level, 1340. I mean, that to me is like a line in the sand between bullish bearish. If it's below $13, you don't want to be in it. $13 is previous all-time lows. and it failed below it, made it a new all-time low, came back and tested those all-time lows and failed and made a new all-time low. This thing is bearish as can be. So your better trade, right on. Okay, cool. And I'm not, you know, hopefully I'm just trying to like talk you through how I would do it. You know, like I could be wrong. You could be totally right. This thing could go to $100. What do I know? What I would be looking to do though, instead of looking for a bullish trade, I would be looking for a bearish trade. Hard to be bearish when you're trading into new all-time lows. Like it's hard to make that trade because you don't know where's your stop, right? It could certainly keep going lower, but it could also reverse and go back. So I would be looking for levels where it could find some resistance. You know, where are those levels? First thing that I would do is I would draw an anchored VWAP from a near-term high just to see, because my average buyer from this retest owns this thing at 1033, so we might have some resistance there. You could definitely use moving averages. You could use pivot levels. You can use all kinds of things, but that's what I would be doing. Instead of looking for a long bias because the calls are cheap, I'd be looking for shorts. I mean, I'm assuming that you're looking at longs in this case, because I assume that shorts are probably quite more expensive. Hopefully that helps you a little bit, Jose. Okay, about to go. About to get out of here. Any last minute things before I go? Be quick. You got to be quick. It's a $10 call. Okay, I mean, at least you're playing close to in the money. Just know, you know, just know where you're at. The odds are kind of against you, right? But so far, you know, it is like on a very small time frame. We can look at the uptrend here. We are holding. Let's see. So I've gone down to a really small, the 15-minute. Yeah, I mean, this is concerning because we didn't make a new high. So you really, you know, obviously, in order to keep going up, you have to make new highs, right? So like, you really need to see this thing above 996. You need to gain it. Like here, good example, right? We make a high, we come back, we test kind of where we broke out, and then we go back and we try to make a new high and we don't. And what do we have to do? We have to go all the way back and test kind of down here. So you look at where you made this high and now we've not made a new high. So does that mean that we then have to come back and test some of these areas where we broke out? It's possible. Wouldn't shock me. 930, 910 before it can keep going. Always good to kind of look back and see what it's done previously, how it acts previously. Doesn't mean we have to go back here. I'm just saying, you know, currently we're trying to hold the previous high, right? We failed it, we gain, we fail, we gain. Now we're trying to hold it. So yeah, sure, definitely. You'll know if we're able to get above this one. And I would be, personally, I'd be a seller into that move, right? Like, if you're able to get a move through this, I would be getting out. Because it's wanting to go back up into this gap, 1013. So, I hope the trade works out, man. All right. Seems like everybody's good. All the questions have been answered. So, I'm just going to say again, thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. This has been so much fun. I cannot wait to do it again. Thank you all so much. And we will see you guys next time. Oh, actually, before we go, two things. First thing, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Twitter, I'm hosting a Twitter Spaces. We're going to be having, let me see if I can get the folks who are on the Twitter Space. It has escaped me. Let me grab that real quick. Let me see. who is on the Twitter space tomorrow? Sadie's going to hook me up. Fortune options, Blue Moon trades. Who else we got? Stock Sniper. Just the 3? I feel like there's one more. TD. Okay, so tomorrow night on Twitter, we are going to be live with Fortune Options, Blue Moon Trades, Stock Sniper, and TD. They're going to be giving us their 2 favorite trades for the week. So if you guys are looking for trade ideas, you might be able to find some there. Thursday night, really excited about this. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube, we're going to be sitting down with JC Peretz from All Star Charts. If you guys don't know him, follow him. He's a great guy. He is all over Twitter. JC Peretz, All Star Charts. And we're going to be doing live chart requests. I don't know if JC's ever done this. I've never seen JC do this. JC posts tons of charts. Him and the whole All-Star Options team post tons of charts, but I've never seen him do live charting. So this is going to be really cool. If you follow JC, you got to tune in because, you know, it's JC and he's always an awesome time. If you don't follow JC, he's one of the smartest guys around. And he's a blast. So tune in, 8 p.m. Eastern, here on YouTube, hanging out with JC. And we're taking your requests. If you want us to chart something, just vote for it, and we'll chart it. We'll be hanging out for like an hour. Last 2 things. We have a new feature dropping this week. You can actually see it on my screen right now, but I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's there. It's a huge one. Think our more kind of... our more senior trader types are going to be really stoked about it. Not senior like old, senior like been trading a long time. But it's a super powerful tool, and a lot of users are going to be stoked about it. So again, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's dropping this week. And we've also got potentially, and I'm not going to say this with absolute, but potentially, we got a holiday coming. July 4th, big holiday. You know what we usually do on holidays. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines thinking about getting an account with us, keep your eyes peeled. Might be some good hookups here pretty soon for the holiday that's coming. So again, thank you all for being here. Really, really appreciate it. And we will see you all next time. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your evening. Happy trading. And yeah, we'll see you next time.